The Nintendo Switch may be nearing the end of its incredible journey, but in 2026, it's still one of the best places to experience unforgettable games. From massive open-world adventures and emotional RPGs to addictive multiplayer hits and hidden indie gems, the Switch library has something for every kind of player. Whether you're a longtime Nintendo fan or you've just picked up the console, there are plenty of incredible titles that are absolutely worth your time. In today's video, we've handpicked the best Nintendo Switch games you should play in 2026, games that have stood the test of time and still deliver amazing experiences. So grab your Joy-Cons, sit back, and let's dive into the must-play Switch games you shouldn't miss this year.
A tiny bug knight, a crumbling, forgotten kingdom underground, and one of the most beautifully hand-drawn worlds ever put into a video game. Hollow Knight throws you into Hallownest with barely any guidance and expects you to explore, get lost, and slowly piece together a story that's dark, mysterious, and honestly kind of heartbreaking once it clicks. The combat is tight and demanding. Bosses will destroy you the first few tries, but every death teaches you something, and the moment you finally beat one feels earned in a way few games manage. This is a game that respects your intelligence and your patience, and rewards both massively. If you love games that don't hold your hand, that trust you to figure things out, Hollow Knight might be the best example of that philosophy on the entire Switch library.
You're the son of the Greek god of the underworld, trying to escape hell itself. And every single time you die, you don't restart from zero, you come back stronger. That's the loop that makes Hades so addictive. Every run through the underworld gives you new God-given powers, new weapon combos, and new conversations with characters who actually remember what happened last time you talked. This isn't a game where dying feels like punishment. It feels like progress. The combat is fast, brutal, and endlessly replayable, and the story unfolds a little more with every attempt you make. It's rare for a roguelike to have this much heart baked into it, but Hades somehow makes you care about escaping hell as much as you care about beating the boss. If you like action games with real depth, this one's unmissable. This is old-school JRPG storytelling done at its absolute best. A chosen hero, a cursed destiny, a party of unforgettable characters, and a world that feels genuinely alive as you explore it. Dragon Quest XI's is the definitive version of the game, built specifically for Switch, with extra content, a new orchestral soundtrack option, and even a fully retro 16-bit mode if you want to experience the story with old-school pixel art and turn-based menus instead. It's proof that you don't need flashy gimmicks to tell an incredible story, just great characters, a killer soundtrack, and a world worth saving. Whether you're a longtime JRPG fan or you've never touched the genre before, this game welcomes you in and doesn't let go. It's easily one of the most complete, satisfying RPG experiences available on the Switch. This is a game about literally stealing the corrupted hearts of adults who abuse their power. By day, you're a normal high schooler. By night, you're leading a secret group of vigilantes diving into surreal, twisted dungeons pulled straight from people's minds. Persona 5 Royal blends turn-based dungeon crawling with a full-on social simulator, where the friendships you build outside the dungeon directly make you stronger inside it. The style is unmatched. Sharp, jazzy soundtrack, slick menus, an aesthetic that feels like nothing else in gaming. And this isn't just the original game ported over. Royal adds a whole new semester, a new character, and a new story arc that changes the ending entirely. If you've ever wanted a game that makes you feel like the coolest person alive while also making you cry at 2 a.m., this is it.
Nintendo took the classic side-scrolling Mario formula, the one that hadn't changed much in decades, and threw in something called Wonder Flowers. The moment you touch one, the entire level twists into something completely unrecognizable. Pipes start crawling like worms, you suddenly turn into a giant spike ball rolling through the stage, gravity flips. It's unpredictable in the best way, and you genuinely never know what a level is about to throw at you next. On top of that, the art style is some of the most expressive 2D Mario has ever looked. Every character reacts, every enemy has personality. This isn't just another Mario platformer. It's proof that even a series this old still has fresh ideas left. If you grew up on classic Mario, this is the sequel you didn't know you were waiting for.
Picture this, nearly every fighter from every era of Nintendo's history, plus a stacked lineup of guest characters from completely different game universes all in one roster. That's not an exaggeration, that's literally the pitch behind Ultimate. Mario fighting Sonic, Kirby fighting Cloud from Final Fantasy, a Pokemon trainer going head-to-head with a Metal Gear Solid legend. It sounds like a fever dream, and somehow it just works. The combat is fast, easy to pick up, but has a ceiling high enough that competitive players are still discovering new tech years later. It's the kind of game where a 10-minute match with friends turns into a 3-hour session because nobody wants to stop. If you only own one fighting game on Switch, there's really no argument. It has to be this one.
Here's a wild fact. This game has now received so much added content that it's basically doubled in size since it first came out. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe isn't just a kart racer anymore. It's the definitive Mario Kart, packed with dozens of tracks pulled from the entire history of the series, remastered and reimagined. Anti-gravity sections let you drive up walls and across ceilings. Every character, every item, every track feels tuned for chaos in the best way. And honestly, it's the ultimate party game. Plug in a few controllers, throw a blue shell at your best friend right before the finish line, and watch the friendship survive. Barely. Whether you're playing solo, online, or crammed on a couch with 3 other people yelling at the screen, this is the game that never leaves the rotation.
What if Mario could possess anything he touched? A dinosaur, a tank, even a Goomba. That's the core idea behind Odyssey, and it turns platforming completely upside down. You throw your hat, Cappy, onto enemies and objects, and suddenly you're controlling them instead. 1 second you're jumping as Mario, the next you're rampaging through a level as a giant T-Rex. Every kingdom feels like its own tiny universe, packed with hundreds of power moons hiding in the most unexpected places. It's colorful, it's weird in the best way, and it never runs out of surprises. This is the kind of game you can hand to a total beginner or a lifelong Mario fan, and both will walk away grinning. If you want proof that 3D platformers can still feel fresh, Odyssey is Exhibit A.
Before Tears of the Kingdom, there was the game that changed what open-world games even meant. Breath of the Wild dropped you into Hyrule with almost no instructions, just a cliff, a paraglider, and a whole kingdom to figure out on your own. No hand-holding, no glowing path telling you where to go next. You climb any mountain you see. You cook random ingredients just to see what happens. You wander into a fight you're clearly not ready for, and somehow survive with nothing but a tree branch and pure stubbornness. Years later, this game is still the blueprint every other open-world title gets compared to. If you've never played it, you're not just missing a good game, you're missing the game that redefined freedom in gaming. And on Switch, it's more affordable and accessible than ever to jump in for the first time.
Imagine a game so big, Nintendo had to rebuild Hyrule from the ground up just to fit everything they wanted to add. That's Tears of the Kingdom. You're not just exploring the same map as before. The sky is now a maze of floating islands, and the ground beneath Hyrule hides a pitch-black underworld called the Depths. But the real game changer? Your abilities. You can fuse weapons together, build actual working vehicles out of scrap parts, and glue a shield to a rocket if you feel like it. There's no right way to solve a puzzle here. If your weird idea works, the game rewards you for it. This isn't a sequel that plays it safe. It's Nintendo saying, remember that open world you loved? Now break it apart and rebuild it however you want. If you own a Switch and haven't played this, you're missing one of the most creative games ever made.
Picture fighting demonic angels the size of skyscrapers while also summoning your own giant hair demon to punch buildings alongside you. That's just a normal Tuesday for Bayonetta. This game takes the stylish, over-the-top combat the series is known for and cranks it up even further. Combos flow into massive summoned attacks, time-slowing dodges called Witch Time reward perfect timing, and every fight feels like a flashy action movie you're directing in real time. But Bayonetta 3 doesn't just repeat
repeat the formula. It throws in entirely new playable sections, wild set-piece moments, and a story that gets genuinely strange in the best way, exploring alternate versions of Bayonetta herself. The style, the confidence, the sheer chaos on screen, nothing else on Switch looks or feels quite like it. If you want an action game that never lets up and never plays it safe, this is the one.
After decades without a true sequel in this style, Metroid finally got the follow-up fans had been begging for, and it delivers in a huge way. Metroid Dread drops you onto a hostile alien planet, hunted by a terrifying robotic creature that can kill you in a single hit if it catches you. That constant threat changes how you play. You're not just exploring, you're surviving, sneaking past danger while slowly gaining new abilities that unlock new paths across the map. The movement feels incredible, fluid, fast, precise, and the boss fights are some of the most intense in the entire series. This is a masterclass in 2D action exploration, tightly designed with barely a wasted moment. If you love games that reward memorization, precision, and constant tension, Metroid Dread is one of the best experiences the Switch has to offer.
Every time you die in this game, the entire castle rearranges itself. New layout, new enemies, new loot, same brutal difficulty. Dead Cells is a side-scrolling roguelike where you play as a headless, regenerating blob of cells possessing a corpse, hacking through waves of enemies with an insane variety of weapons, from flaming swords to freeze grenades to whips that pull enemies toward you. The combat feels incredible, fast, fluid, and unforgiving, punishing sloppy play but rewarding precision in a way that keeps you coming back even after a brutal death. And because every run is different, no two attempts ever feel repetitive. This is one of the tightest, most replayable action games on Switch, perfect for anyone who wants short, intense sessions that somehow turn into hours without you noticing.
You're hunting massive, terrifying monsters, some the size of buildings, using everything from giant swords to bows to weapons that are basically part cannon. Monster Hunter Rise adds a wire-action grappling system that lets you zip around the map, scale cliffs instantly, and even ride monsters mid-fight to turn them against each other. Every hunt feels like a puzzle. Figure out the monster's patterns, exploit its weaknesses, then craft new gear from what you just took down. It's deeply satisfying in a way few action games manage, especially once you bring friends into the hunt and coordinate takedowns together. The learning curve is real, but so is the payoff once you finally bring down a monster that wrecked you the first 3 attempts. This is one of the most content-rich action games on the entire platform.
One person built this entire game. The farming, the fishing, the mining, the relationships, the seasons, literally all of it, largely by himself. Stardew Valley starts simple. You inherit a rundown farm and move to a small town to start over. But underneath that simple premise is dozens of hours of content. Deep caves to mine, villagers to befriend or fall in love with, festivals tied to every season, and a farm that can become whatever you want it to be. It's the kind of game that's easy to pick up for 10 minutes and somehow 3 hours disappear. There's no rush, no pressure, just a slow, satisfying rhythm of building a life from scratch. If you need a game to unwind with after a long day, this is basically the gold standard for cozy gaming on Switch.